Hi, my name is Elizabeth Mohia. I am an advocate of the High Court of Kenya and working in Parliament as legal counsel. Today, we'll be learning about the structure of Parliament, and at the end of this session, we shall learn about the composition of the two houses of Parliament, how they originate bills from the respective houses, and the role that each house of Parliament plays. I hope you enjoy the session. The current Constitution of Kenya 2010 creates a bicameral parliament, meaning a parliament that comprises of two houses, this being the National Assembly and the Senate. Unlike the 1963 Constitution, which drew a distinction between the two houses of parliament by creating the Senate as the upper house, the current Constitution of Kenya does not draw that distinction, and both houses of parliament are considered to be at par. In terms of the composition, we'll look at the National Assembly, which consists of 350 members. These include 290 elected members who are elected from their respective constituencies. We have 47 women who are elected from each county. Then we have 12 members who are nominated by political parties based on their proportional representation in the National Assembly. And then we have the Speaker, who is an ex-officio member of the National Assembly. In terms of the Senate consists of 47 elected members from each county. Then we have 16 women who are nominated by the political parties based on their representation in the House. Then we have one man and one woman nominated by the political parties to represent the youth, and the Speaker, who is again an ex-officio member of the Senate. In terms of the specific functions performed by each House of Parliament, Article 95 of the Constitution sets out the role that is performed by the National Assembly. In particular, the National Assembly is required to enact legislation to represent the people in the constituencies. It is involved in the determination of the revenue that is to be allocated between the national government and the county governments, has an oversight role with respect to the revenue that is allocated to the entities in the national government. It plays an oversight role with respect to state officers, and it is also involved in the approval of the declaration of war and the extension of a state of emergency. Article 96 of the Constitution sets out the role of the Senate. In particular, the Senate is required to represent the interests of the counties and the county governments. It is also involved in the enactment of legislation that concerns counties. It is involved in the allocation of revenue as between the county governments. It also plays an oversight role with respect to such revenue that is allocated to the county governments. It plays an oversight role with respect to state officers, and in particular, when it comes to the removal of the president and the deputy president. Unlike the mandate of the National Assembly, the legislative mandate of the Senate is limited to bills that concerns counties. What this means, therefore, is the Senate can only originate bills that affect functions of county governments. However, the National Assembly can originate bills that affect county governments and those that affect the national level of government. In addition, the Constitution provides that a money bill can only originate in the National Assembly. So the question that begs is, what is a bill that concerns county governments? And what is a money bill? We shall begin with a bill that concerns county governments. A bill that concerns counties is a bill that affects the functions and powers of a county government as set out in Article 110 of the Constitution. What this therefore means is that a bill that has a direct or indirect impact on the functionings of a county government would be a bill that concerns county governments. For example, we know that national security under Part 2 of the 4th schedule to the Constitution is a function that lies with the national government. However, how the national government performs the functions related to security will affect how the county government is able to carry out its operations with regards to, for example, agriculture, the movement of agricultural goods within the counties, and the sale of this agricultural produce within the county governments. This would therefore mean that that bill would directly have an impact on the county government's functioning and would therefore be a bill that concerns counties. In terms of what a money bill is, Article 114 of the Constitution sets out what a money bill contains. In particular, Article 114.3 of the Constitution provides that a money bill is a bill that contains provisions only dealing with 1. Taxes, 2. The imposition of a charge on a public fund, the repeal or variation of that charge, 3. The appropriation, receipt, custody, or investment of public money, and 4. The raising or guaranteeing of a loan. The structure of Parliament as set out under the current Constitution differs substantially from that which was set out under the previous Constitution. The current system provides for a presidential system of government with a clear separation of powers between the executive, the Parliament, and the judiciary. Under the repealed Constitution, the members of the Cabinet were appointed from members of Parliament. In the current system, the President appoints Cabinet Secretaries from persons who are not members of Parliament, therefore providing for a distinct role between the Executive and the Legislature. The 1962 Lancaster Constitution provided for a system of Parliament that consisted of 2 houses of Parliament, this being the Senate, consisting of 41 members, with 40 being elected from the 40 districts, and the Speaker. The Constitution also provided for a House of Representatives consisting of 170 members elected from the various constituencies. It also consisted of 12 special members elected by the House, which then sat as an electoral college, and also consisted of the Attorney General and the Speaker. In addition to its legislative role, the Senate also sought to represent the interests of the respective regions and in particular the minority groups. The Senate was expected to hold the executive accountable for the various happenings in the respective regions. Like the current Senate, the Senate then could not originate a money bill, and this could only originate from the House of Representatives. Well, a money bill found its way into the Senate could only make recommendations which could then be adopted or rejected by the House of Representatives. However, in 1966, December, the Senate was abolished and the Parliament was now recreated to comprise of 1 house. Reasons given for the abolition of the Senate included the duplication of the roles played by the Senate, lack of influence over legislation passed by Parliament then, and the inability of the Senate to influence the executive in terms of its functioning with respect to the regions. Subsequent amendments were made to the Constitution, which shifted the election of the President from the Electoral College to election directly by the people of the Republic of Kenya. The current Constitution introduces a bicameral Parliament as a way of ensuring that checks exist over the national and county governments, and also as a means of ensuring that the interests of all stakeholders concerned at the national level of government and at the county level of governments, and ensuring that resources are devolved to the county governments and that services are able to reach the people who need them at the lowest devolved unit of government. What we have learned today is that Parliament consists of 2 houses, the Senate and the National Assembly. We have also been able to learn the role played by each House of Parliament, and in particular, the oversight role played by the Senate over the county governments. We've also been able to understand what a money bill is and what a bill concerning counties is, and the fact that a bill concerning counties may originate from any House of Parliament, and that the Senate can only originate a bill that concerns counties. We have also been able to understand what a money bill is and the fact that it can only originate from the National Assembly, and also looked at the historical composition of Parliament and how it functioned then as compared to now.